Hello. My name is Troy White. I'm a financial planner, investment manager with Hoodoo Financial. And I'm bringing you news and information as best I can to inform you, educate you about financial issues that you are likely to face in your life and what you can do about it, how you can try to resolve those issues. So today, we're going to discuss some topics that we'll see how far we can dive into them, but I'm going to start off with a quote. There's a lot of headroom on there. Let me stand up. I'll start off with a quote, and this quote is as follows. Where did it go? I have a whole page full of quotes here. All right, here's a quote. And this quote is by Karen Finnerman. I just collect quotes. Anytime I find something somewhere that anyone said that's interesting, that I like, I copy and paste it into a document. I try to say the name of the person as best I can. And this person is Karen Finnerman. I don't know who that is. The quote is, "It's okay to have a plan to invest in your future for your financial security, your love life, your personal fulfillment, and even your happiness. To have personal happiness as a stated goal doesn't detract from it if you get there." Now, let me read it again. It's okay to have a plan to invest in your future for financial security, your love life, your personal fulfillment, and even your happiness. To have personal happiness as a stated goal doesn't detract from that goal if you get there. I like that concept. It's just some interesting things for you to marinate on. So, to get a little deeper into refine the topic that we want to discuss, I'm going to ask you a question, and that is, if money were no object, what would you be doing right now? Now, that relates to our quote, because if money were no object, you would be doing something that makes you happy. And that's why I jumped on this quote. It's okay to have a plan to invest in your future. So if money was no object, you would be more concerned about enjoying your life and your future. All right. And where to go? And your love life, your financial security, your personal fulfillment, and even your happiness. And then the question is, if money were no object, what would you be doing? That's why I love to hit clients with that question, because until I hit them with that and they marinate on that, it's always these, I was going to do X and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do that. But most of these things the things they want to do are based on things they heard and not things they are truly passionate about. So I heard there's a way to do some real estate thing so I can make money, and that's a good thing to do. This is people's thinking. So now their life mission is real estate. But you're doing that just because you heard something. Now, I'm not saying anything against real estate. I'm very much in favor of you becoming a real estate investor. But I am more interested in you identifying what it is you would be doing if money had nothing to do with it. Because usually in this country, the decisions you make, the choices you make, are all based around economic circumstances. How much money I have or I don't have. And, that affects the quality of your life. That's just fundamental. So I want to dive a little deeper into that. Back to our question. If money were no object, okay, but money is an object. All right, but if money were no object, what would I be doing right now? So if you didn't have to worry about money, what would you be doing with your life? And we're asking this kind of hypothetically, but I want you to consider it realistically. I want you to really answer this question. And I want you to determine, what would you really be doing if you didn't have to worry about money? Because guess what? We could pursue that and make money at doing that. Whatever it is. But get it off of your mind that there's one way of making a living at doing that thing. What I'm talking about. Let's say, because you're gonna throw something out to debate me right away. You say, but no, I want to be a professional basketball player. And since I'm already, whatever you are, you're 29, and you're out of shape, and you're short. So you'll never become, it's likely that you will never become that. So why should you be pursuing that, right? That's what and that's what you would be doing if money were no object. You would be pursuing basketball. But all of these factors are still surrounding your physical world. You're not, it's very unlikely that you'll ever achieve that goal. Well, that's because you're making your goal this small. You got to jump through that hoop now. Why'd you make your own goal so small? So, same scenario that we just come out with out of the blue. You want to be a professional basketball player. Well, what if we were to not use that as such a defined goal? So, for instance, what if you could be a professional in the basketball industry? Well, now it's much wider. And then, and when I say I was going to jump to something on that, but let me define what do I mean there. Well, maybe you are an executive at Spalding or whatever the basketball brands are. It's meaning you make basketballs. Maybe you're an executive at the company that makes basketballs. Maybe you're, an investor in a new company that makes sporting goods, sporting apparel, or some sort of device or training in that is involved with professional basketball players. Maybe you're involved with, your company does something that basically has heavy interaction with professional basketball players, is very much tied to the success of basketball players, is heavily correlated with professional basketball. And by doing that, you are in the professional basketball business. So what I'm saying is, think outside the box. Don't pigeonhole yourself into something that you think you want, but you can get what you want, but don't be so rigid as to how it's going to come to you. Because if that's the case, you'll never see the opportunities for an alternative method of achieving that goal. And so on considering that, I want to identify the reality. How could I actually do what I want to do right now if money were no object? So we understanding that money is an object, yet I still want you to do that thing that you would have been doing if money was not an object. So the way we're going to do that is to use maximum effort to eliminate money as a barrier to you achieving that thing. And we in fact are going to use money as the catalyst, as the assistant, as the thing that helps you achieve that goal. So your first your first thought is maybe some confusion, and you're wondering, well, T. Roy, how are you going to achieve that for it? How are you saying we can make that happen? And basically, it's a method of preparing for your desired future. So, um, let's go back to my question. So we won't drift. If money were no object, what would you be doing right now? You would be doing your desired future. You would be pursuing your desired future. You would be doing what you really desire for your life. So I have a method that allows you to prepare for your desired future. Now, you could call this method anything you want to, but I use this method in helping my customers, my clients, achieve their financial plans because I call it financial planning. So this method of financial planning can be used to achieve anything, but anything you want to achieve will have to have some financial planning to occur. So this method will work perfectly for you. So prepare for your desired future. How do you do that? You're going to do that by identifying what your goal is. And when I say identifying your goal, go back to the guy who wants to be in professional basketball business, but he's not tall enough, he's too old, and he's out of shape, right? So this individual has to find other methods to involve himself in that industry. And to do that, you have to identify to yourself, what is it you're actually trying to pursue? Because this is very important. This is a key component because you as an individual are always going to use money as the barrier, as the excuse to stop. And that excuse is going to be, since I don't have the money, I can't achieve the thing. And so therefore I need to stop the pursuit of the thing until I get the money. And that's wrong. That is, you know what? I'm just going to tell you the facts is that don't work doing that. No philosophy about it. We can dive into the philosophy, but I don't want to because I'm telling you that don't work. And you proved it time and time again because you stopped pursuing something because you didn't have some component. And usually that component is money. You think you don't have you can't achieve it without the money. But what I'm saying is the money is actually the last component that you're going to need. You're going to need something else first. And so back to my question, if money were no object, so before I dive into the method, if money were no object, and I just said something, I said money is actually the last thing you need. So that means until the end, it was no object. Money literally did not matter until the end of the process. So it was literally no object. It was not an object of concern. So if money were no object, what would I be doing right now? So if money is of no concern, what goal would you be pursuing? And remember that you can pursue that goal because you don't need the money until the end of the process. So don't concern yourself with the money at the beginning of the process. How do you prepare for your desired future? If money were no object, I would be doing my desired future right now. So we have to identify what the goal is. The goal is what we are pursuing. And that could be many things. It is like every goal really consists of multiple goals. So don't be scared. Don't just identify one and think that's the end. That's cheating. That's simple. And that won't work. It's a constant loop that we have to do. Understand first, this process don't never stop. Once you start, it don't never stop. Never. So This process starts with you identifying your goal. My goal is to get from A to B, but even between A and B, there is a long pathway and many obstacles and many different pathways along that route. So it's once not again, Troy White. I had to take a commercial break there because my battery died on this device and it wasn't plugged up. I thought I had it plugged up. So to continue where we left off yesterday, we were talking about how do you prepare for your desired future, and we were going over the process and discussing how that process is similar to financial planning process. And we had a question here, and that question is, if money were no object, what would I be doing right now? And whatever that thing is, we're going to have to devise a process and a plan to achieve that thing. And so that thing I'm saying to you is similar to the financial planning process, which starts with identifying the goal. So I had mentioned the goal may be multiple small goals to help you achieve a larger goal. So each one of these goals has action plans that consist of following this process, identifying the goal. And then step two, that's step one. Step two is to evaluate your current status, specifically your current status as it relates to that goal. So that goal is there, I am here. So that will help you understand how to bridge that distance. Third step is to create a timeline. As I mentioned, your goal will probably consist of multiple goals that will help you achieve a larger goal. So all of those, you got to break them down. The large goal into its main components, and within those components you break down the sub goals into their sub components, and all of those you're going to follow this process. So you're going to create the timeline to achieve that goal, and the timeline as it sits along the path with the rest of the goals. Fourth step is to devise a strategy. So we have identified what the goal is, where we are in relation to that goal, when we need to achieve that goal. Now, what's the best strategy to get there? How can I achieve that? And then, in a side note, this is where you're going to start crying and whining and quitting. And I want to emphasize, don't worry about how much it costs right now. Devise the strategy, starting with, I had everything I need to achieve this goal. Itemized all the way out. I understand down here is reality. I don't got nothing. Don't matter. We need the plan to achieve the thing. We are going to create steps to achieve that goal. Those steps, we don't need to worry about financing that yet. Okay, because once we understand where we are and we know that it takes several steps to get there, well, part of this strategy, and the first part of this strategy, the first step, the first day of this strategy is to create the plan and implement the plan. And that plan starts with research and development. That doesn't cost no money. It costs your efforts, your brain power, research and development. But that's part of devising the strategy. And then we're going to implement it. We're going to do the research. We're going to develop our product. We're going to develop the plan to do it. We're going to find all of our vendors. We're going to locate every vendor. We're going to go out to them vendors. We're going to say how much it's going to cost you to build this trinket for me that I want to sell, to build this machine that I want to sell, to build this technology component that I'm going to sell. Where are the components that I need? Where are they? Are they in China? Where's the best place? Where are my three sources? For everything I do, I need three of them at least. Even if my best friend is who I want to give this business to, I need three alternatives, period, to everything you're doing. So it's strategy, it's steps, it's things you can do that are efforts and actions that don't require you to spend a dime. And then we're going to monitor the progress of every component of every micro goal within your goal. So constantly going back and forth. So at the point in time when you needed to finance something, it's going to be way after you've done all of the research and development and preparing, strategizing, and implementing of the paperwork shuffle that's required. You're not going to need that big old chunk of money till way later, but I guarantee you will not be able to get that chunk of money if you didn't do all of this stuff. So you're fooling yourself to think that you're going to come up with the money and then do it. You're going to have to do it and come up with the money. And since you're doing it, that's how the money is going to attract itself to you. And all you need is information. There are sources of capital out there, but you can't get it until you got a business that's well put together, well thought out, and is well documented how you have a plan to achieve the goals of the business and how you're going to be able to pay back the money that we're going to get you. Do it or not. Holler.